Hello, Erica. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Now, just before we click the record button, I was saying that I love your website. So let's get this blatant plug out there immediately. Head over to schoolingmitchell.com. Look below because I'm going to put the link in there. This website is just perfectly laid out. It's got what you've done for the customers. It's not about you at all. It's all about the customers, this website. And that's what I find impressive because most people are there, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I've done this and that. Well, nobody gives a damn. They only care about what you're going to do for them. And you've laid it out there. So, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox right now because I just wanted to get that out straight away. And let's have a chat. This is the first time we've met. And I would love to know why you booked an appointment to catch up. That'd be great.
Of course. And I'm getting into the space right now where this is my second business and I'm not finished. Now, I've been seeing all this stuff online about when you're buying into businesses, sometimes even just instead of starting from scratch, buy something that's already existing and build on it. You know what? I posted it on Instagram yesterday. There's a lady named Cody Sanchez. She has a book called Millionaire Main Street. And there's 11 million businesses in the US for sale right now. Most, I think there's around 50 million, they said, that are baby boomers that are going to retire. That's not including Gen Xers that are in that going to be part of that bracket as well. And I guess you can say for the next piece or the next gateway is how would someone like myself go in and buy something and what would I need to get there beyond the financials? And what are some of the things that I should look out for?
Well, let me go through something that I taught my goddaughter. She's looking for a property. Oh, by the way, Erica, I tell stories. I can't help myself, so just have to put up with me, sorry. She's looking for a property. I said you need one or more of four things. First one is you need equity, or or you need cash flow, you need knowledge, and you need experience. So I think that fits perfectly with what your question is really. It, and it shows that it doesn't matter what you're doing. You still, if you're going to start building businesses or investing in anything, they're the things that you need at least one of. Because if you haven't got the others, you can go out there and find someone who can help you out doing that. But again, I want to go back to this website over here on my screen. What you've done there is, and I'm just going to read the top part of this. 1 billion in client savings, 30,000 businesses across the USA and Canada, 28% average expense reduction. That's a pretty good start, really, isn't it? What you've got to find is a business that you can make a difference with. Now, your decision, your research, I won't say decision yet, I won't put words in your mouth in that respect, but businesses that are already running, most businesses close within 5 years. What, 70, 80% of them close within 5 years. If you can pick one that's exceeded that 5 years, you're already above the curve. So you've already been through that period. Ripper, fantastic. Then what you need to do is you mentioned about 5 million or 50 million businesses in the US that are up for sale. 11 million that are up for
11,
sale. Yes. Yes.
11 million and 50 million people are about to
Yeah.
retire.
And the average age of people selling businesses like that is 62 at the moment. People want it life change at 62. So here's the one thing on your website that I wasn't able to find, and that is stories. It's got case studies in there, but not stories as such, feel good stories. What are those people at 62 looking for? What are they trying to achieve? What goals in the future are they trying to achieve? You're not going to buy the business by going in there and saying, hey, I'm going to throw this money at you, or and I want all these conditions, because they've already had 10 people do that already. And they didn't sell to them because they're not passionate about it. They don't have the same, they've got this name on top of the building, which is their family name or a name related to their grandchild's dream at some stage in the past. It's passionate for them. So, the worst possible thing you can ever do, by the way, is say, I'm going to change the name, because that's something that they've worked hard for. That's an instant get out the door, you're gone. And I don't ever want to see your face again type stuff. So, though that may be true, it's always good for them to suggest it rather than you.
Got you. So
But
more
yeah,
listening than talking.
absolutely understand who you're dealing with, understand what their dreams, their ambitions are. Then go through and do something that you are excellent at, and that is analyze their business. Put it in NDA and say, here, let's put a non disclosure agreement in place. Let me have a look at your business. And you obviously have exceptional skills in being able to assess where there's leakages of funds, where there's opportunities. And I'm a little bit depressed by that actually, because I've always prided myself in being able to go into a business and just save money, find money, and then I look up and 1 billion plus savings and client savings, and I find that a little depressing. I'm really underperforming in that respect. So I, I always like to go in and save, 750K there, 250K there. But yeah, that's just an impressive number. So I love that. So at that stage, then you can start to say, okay, is this the business that stacks up financially? Something that I can do something with. Then that's where it all starts. That's where you start to deal more with the people again. Remember, that first part you think is all about research and assessment of the business. That's no good if they kick you out the door and they don't want to deal with you. It's people. And then the signature on the paper, that's people. Then the actual go live date of when you take over, that's people. Then after that period, that's where the process starts to happen. That's where what you do starts to happen and you can start making changes. But second biggest lie in history, my son's company was taken over about a month ago. And they had the big town hall meeting. Oh, you're such a wonderful company. You've done such wonderful things. We love you just the way we are. We're not going to change anything. And my son rang me and told me this story. I said, what an utter lie. And of course, that was a month ago, wasn't it? So now there's heaps of plans to change things. Don't I've got to tell you my 4 rules. Can I tell you my 4 rules? First rule, tell me what you can do. Second rule, tell me what you can't do. And that's okay because there's always someone out there that can. Rule number 3, never lie to me or my customer. Rule number 4, never ignore me or my customer. So that's how I work. Don't lie to them. Don't deceive them. Just be upfront and work with who they are. These mergers and acquisitions, or as I was corrected recently on a podcast, acquisitions and mergers. Sorry, too late to change the logo. Uh, acquisitions and mergers is predominantly a people stuff. It really is. The bean counters and the finance people think it's all about them. It's not. Anyway, I've been doing a lot of talking, and this is so. Have I helped?
Oh, absolutely. Because when I do make that move to go beyond the businesses that I have and I want to buy something, I'm going to remember that it's not just about the research now, but it's about the people. And also, they've built, and you said about the passion that they put towards it. So when you're speaking to them, don't just do the research on the numbers, but what they've also done and built. And don't lie about not changing anything. That's the other one I got.
No. But who's their number two in the business as well? Are, the, are you going to be able to keep them on board as well? And it's their relationship because it's not just the name on the building. They've literally put in blood, sweat, tears. They've missed weddings, they've missed engagement parties, they've missed birthday parties to build this thing. This is important to them. It has been a huge part of their life, and that needs to be respected. And the other thing that I would say is not every business is for you. Not every business is worth buying. You can't force a fit. It has to fit.
Of
You don't want to
course.
buy a business that is not successful. You want to buy a business that is successful, one that you can improve even more. Because if it's not successful, there's probably a reason. You will find it. But again, do you really want to take on that baggage? Or do you just want to take on something that works already and then make it better?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think my generation, a lot of them are creating TikTok dances, and that's great. But if you could buy a laundromat, everybody needs to wash their clothes, rich or poor, and you can take over something that's already running. It's funneling money. You can see the numbers coming in. Why not?
I know three people that own a string of laundromats in different places. Yes, it's a cash cow for them, as an example. Yes. But the businesses that they've taken over, and just specifically talking about that one, were making money, but weren't doing it as well as what they are now, that they've got a system and processes behind them. Because it's those systems and processes. 20% of a business value is their goodwill, their reputation, and what they've got out there in the community. 80% of a business's value are their processes, their procedures, their automations.
And to be honest, that's why I got into the business that I'm in now. Because when I started my marketing firm, I had to create that all from scratch. And I didn't know if that was going to work. I was basing it off of what people were telling me to do in how to start an agency course. Versus now, when you have those systems, processes that have been repeated, and the systems are already built out for you, it makes a huge difference.
It does. Erica, can you tell me a bit about you and what you do? Because I've been rabbiting on about how wonderful I think you are, but I haven't actually said what you do. Tell us a
No,
bit
I,
about
you know
you.
what? I absolutely love it, and I'm learning more and more about the merger and acquisition space. But a little bit about what I do is I help businesses improve their bottom line in 90 days or less. That's essentially what I do. And how I even got into this space in the first place, and I talked a little bit about it already, is I came from the marketing world, and when I was selling marketing packages, a big piece that I noticed is a lot of these businesses think they need marketing, but there's leaks or cracks in their foundation. And if you don't fix those cracks, any marketing efforts that we do or part of what we're going to do is just a leaky bucket. That's all it is. For
Yeah.
example, we had a plumber that said, hey, I need some more business. Can you send some more leads? Sure, no problem. We call him Monday as a test because he said, hey, it's not working. It's not working. We call him Monday. And I said, I left a voicemail because he didn't pick up. And I said, my sink is running, there's water everywhere. I need someone ASAP. You think that they would call me back within not even just 24 hours? They didn't call me back at all. And
Wow.
it was through the leads that we were doing. And they called me back Thursday. I said, I can drive as much traffic as you want, but if someone needs something fixed in those types of scenarios, and this was more of like an emergency plumber,
Mm.
you're wasting your money and time with us because you don't have that system in place. So if you have somebody that's calling or an AI tool that you can say, hey, you know what? Um, Give me some information, and they start you create that chat and you start feeding it, great. But everything interconnects with different departments. And if you don't fix the crack on the floor, it's going to run up to the walls. And I used to get so frustrated because in that role, and I was also working for somebody, in that role, your job is just to sell that marketing package. That's it. But all the efforts that we were doing in 6 months, they'd say the marketing is not working. And I noticed this over and over and over again. And then when I came across what I'm in now, which is Schoolie Mitchell, so where we help businesses save on some of those operation expenses, I said to myself, this is God's gift from heaven because now I can fix part of the cracks. But if you're given that extra funds now to fix the other cracks, now you have a solid foundation. But with what I do now, I can give somebody $100,000, but that's like giving an 18-year-old or saying, here's $1 million. Sometimes they don't know what to do with it or they don't know how to maneuver it around. So it's
Yeah.
still something that we're working on, but that's a little bit about me. That's how I got into what I'm into now, and I love it.
That's not entirely about all about you. There is something that I want to talk about, and that is you have some patents, cosmetic brush systems. Now, this is interesting to me because I did some scaling work for an eyelash cleaning company. So, which isn't really on my resume, I've got to say. But I took this business they made 300K the first year, they made 3.6 million the second year, 5 million the third year. They bought me in to make 10 million the following year and 85 this year after that. And that was for an eyelash cleaning company. Tell me, what is a cosmetic brush system, please? Just for my own curiosity.
Sure. So I created at 21, and why I created it is I saw a problem. And myself and many other women have makeup brushes where they're spending quite a few dollars on them. In the marketing or in the cosmetic industry, the markup is 300, almost 300%. And I realized that when you start washing the brushes, sometimes water will seep into what's called the ferrule and it detaches from the handle, which is fine because the glue, like you can just, it's detaching from the glue. But when you put it back on, the brush starts to get a little bit wiggly. It's like trying to put on your pen, right? This piece here to your pen, but then if you don't put it on all the way, you're not gonna have you just have the tip out, which might be hard to write a little bit. So it's the same thing with the brush, but it was when you were applying it, it was a little bit wiggly and it would affect your application. So that was the first problem that I solved. Then I realized, okay, so I'm washing my brushes and I'm washing them and there's water, right? Where and soap, and you're leaving it on the counter like this to dry instead of like this. So now there's bacteria that gets stuck here at the top. So what I did was on the inside of the ferrule, there's a little magnet on the inside. So you can take it and it's a ring and you can hang it up to dry on your mirror. So you don't forget about it. You can take it down. And then inside that, the other problem is you're washing your brushes, but to get at the very top where all the makeup and dirt builds up is pretty hard to get. So I put small little holes so that water can seep out and soap, and you can wash it out like a hole, like a hose. And then the handle, when I was learning how to apply makeup when I was a teenager, I looked like a clown because I was learning. So what I did was on the handle, I put these little lines that represent and show you through YouTube videos where to hold it for certain applications. So
Oh,
you can
nifty.
detach the handle from the ferrule. You can use it for many different brushes. So instead of bringing, this whole kit on vacation or for a makeup artist that, has to bring this whole set of brushes, you can just move it from different ones. And it's made out of pretty much 80% recyclable material, except for the bottom piece, which is 30% resin.
Neat. So you've created the MacGyver toolkit for cosmetic brushes, basically.
Yes. Yes. That's the system. That's how I know that was a bit of a long answer, but that's how it works.
It was, but it gives us an insight into who you are, I think. You don't like problems, you like solutions. You look at things differently and you take a long-term vision of it. So, yes, that shows a lot about you, really, I think.
Of course. And when there is a problem or if I'm pressed up against the wall, you can either do two things. You can complain about it, which sometimes I do, and then the next day I'm right at it. What can I do next? How can I solve X? If I need to reach this goal, what can I do? How can I reach that? So I don't think it's necessarily too about yes, there's problem solution, but also we also have to think, so how do we get from point A to point B? What's the how and what's the why?
Hmm. I don't suppose you fly a plane, do you?
Do I fly a plane?
Yeah.
You know what? I actually wanted to take lessons, but I
Hmm.
don't. I don't fly any planes currently. I wanted to take lessons. That's on my bucket list to do. There's downtown Toronto, they have a package where you can fly and they show you some of the controls. Obviously you have to get all your flying hours in, but it's something that I wanted to try.
Okay. You just seem like the personality there that would be good at that. That's all. Okay. So I look again, helping you've worked predominantly with construction. Is that right?
Yes, construction trades and contractors, but that's not limited to all the other people that I've worked with. So restaurants, golf courses, schools, associations. I think a big misconception, or I would say people that are starting a business, sometimes they like to target everybody, right? Which when you do that, number one, it's hard for people to remember what industry you're in and who you help.
Mm.
And two, when you're targeting to the masses, you're going to get none. So what I've done is that's my area, that's my focus, that's who I help. But if someone comes along the way and says, hey, can you help me with something in the restaurant industry? I won't absolutely say no because I've been in the industry. I was a waitress for 8 years. I know some of the ins and outs, and I would absolutely help them. But one day at a time, one industry at a time, when you're connecting with people that are also serving them in different capacities, it makes you that much stronger.
Well, I'm going to introduce you to three people, and I'll give you their details. First one is Hacia. She is an extraordinary woman who runs trades, trade businesses. She does mergers and acquisitions and roll ups of trade businesses around the world. She is extraordinary. I'm also going to introduce you to a digital marketing person called Carter Douglas. And he's in Australia. He does, and this is why I'm talking straight after this, what you were just talking about. You're talking about going deep into verticals. He does
Yes,
4 verticals, and they're all in the trades industries, electrical, plumbing, and a couple of others. So he does 4 verticals. And his coach said to him, oh, you need to get more verticals. And he said, no. He said, I know these verticals really well. I can talk to anybody on these verticals. And he said, know I can help people on those verticals. So instead of going wide with the verticals, he's going wide around the world. Much
which
better
is perfect.
solution.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the third person that I want to introduce you to is an extraordinary woman in South Africa who has a wide variety of businesses, specific, again, in the construction area in South Africa and the African continent. And I think those three people would be quite open to having a chat with you and working with you into the future. So I think they'd be 3 really good connections for you.
That would be perfect. I would love that.
We will make that happen. And I I just deal with great people because it goes back to my 4 rules, doesn't it? If they don't fit those 4 rules, then they just don't fit at all for me. Well, that's been great. Now, I do want to ask. This is more like a quiz, really, isn't it? We started off. You booked the appointment with me, and here I am asking all the questions because I'm so interested in. Now, I'm going to tell you another story now. I'm going to tell you another story. I was at a conference, and it was a 5-day conference, and on the 5th day, I met, and oh, whatever. 2025 isn't my year not to be politically correct, by the way. I've given political correctness the boot. She was a little lady, young, and I saw her in a hallway and I went up to her and I said hello and started chatting with her. And she said to me, she said, I haven't found anybody here that can help me. And I said to her, I said, well, nobody is here to help you. I said, my question for you is, how many people have you helped? I said, who was the last person you spoke to? Tell me all about them and their problem. She said, well, you were the last person I spoke to. Hmm. I said, okay. I said, the issue here isn't that everybody's here to help you. I said, you've got to go out there. And she was an amazing lady. She organized large outdoor concerts and arena spectaculars. So it wasn't as if she was just someone walking down the street. She had true skills and knew what she was doing. So by coincidence, I've just mentioned Carter Douglas. Carter Douglas was walking past and he is very tall. And he walked past. I said, Carter, I said, come on, meet this woman. And they started talking and talking and talking, and I'm just standing on the sidelines. I'm obviously irrelevant to this conversation now. These two are at it. And then it made it to the subject. I heard the word networking. I said, okay, time out. I said, I need to butt into this conversation. I said, okay. I said, see, I said, Carter was so enthralled and passionately interested in what you did. I said, what's going through his mind now is who can he introduce you to? Who can you work with? He was trying to solve problems for you. I said, because he was passionate about the connection and he believed in you and wanted to know more. I said, when you're having conversations with people, what are you doing?
What am I
No,
doing?
no, well, that's what I said to the
Oh,
lady.
yeah.
But that was the end of it. That I thought that really showed the difference. And when I do look at your website and I look at what you've achieved, I can see what you're doing. So anyway, I thought I needed to tell you that story. Sorry about that.
No, and I'm actually glad you brought this up because I don't think people that go out networking understand that it's about giving first, right? So right now you just gave me three people to get in contact with, right?
Exceptional people. Let me say
Okay, perfect.
exceptional people.
Except exactly, exceptional people. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, who am I going to introduce to him that's exceptional? And who does he want to get in connection with? How can I help him? But a lot of people don't understand that. They think it's a me, 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 me. I need to get business. And that's not how it's going to work out for you. Because if you just go in with that me attitude, you end up pitching and people just run away.
Yeah. But there's one other thing that you didn't mention there as well, which I really do want to throw in. And you give without the expectation of receiving back. That's the thing. You've got to give without expecting that Erika is going to go and find clients for me or find people for me to talk to, whatever. Just give. Just do the right thing and help people.
The only thing that I expect in return from people that I send things out to is a thank you. Because sometimes here's another story too. I'll send a referral over to somebody and someone will say, I'm looking for, A, B, and C, blah, blah, blah. But then the person that I referred them to, they're like, Erica, the person that you sent me didn't even email me back. And I've gotten that too. Somebody has sent me a referral, let's say like a CFO or something like that. I'll send an email. They don't email me back. I'll send another one to say, hey, you try to follow up without saying, hey, I'm following up, and they don't message back. And then you're in a spot where you're saying to yourself, I met this fantastic person. I'm doing you a favor, right? But
Yep.
you gotta come back. There's gotta be that follow up in place. Otherwise, if you don't do that, I'm done.
I've had that same thing happen to me just this week. And I don't mind if they don't respond to me. But the issue is that I've CC'd in someone that I believe is just so amazing for them. And I've put myself out there, giving this person credibility. What I do tend to do these days, for example, I'll say it straight out. What I would do is I will be writing out 3 emails to those respective people, and I will say, I've met Erika. I personally have not worked with Erika, but I have had a wonderful conversation. I've looked at the website. I believe Erika to be of good character and will be a valuable asset to your business. But I must stress, I have not worked explicitly with Erika at this stage, though I am looking forward to it in the future. So I will put that caveat in there and I'll make sure that Erika gets it as well as Hacia and Carter as well. So you know that I've caveated it.
Okay. So I've done that as well to make sure they understand the relationship.
Boundaries. Yes.
It's just when they don't respond back to say thank you for
Hmm.
the introduction, that's where I go, you asked me for to send you someone here. Why don't you just say, "Oh, great to meet you. Thank you."
Agreed. Well, Erika, we are running out of time here, but I've got to say, this has been a pretty good conversation. I've really enjoyed it and definitely looking forward to doing working more with you and finding out how I can help you more. I think this is just the start for you and I.
Absolutely. I got to learn your four key principles today for when I do get into that mindset of I'm going to buy another business. And absolutely, let's keep this going. And we're going to connect, and you're going to tell me as well who you want me to connect you with in my network.
We can do that, but I've got such a sore tongue because I keep biting it. I've got to say this extra thing as well. And that is don't buy businesses and think, oh, I'll buy the next one and then that'll make up the profits. I'll learn from this first one and I'll make up the profits on the second one if the first one's not making money. You don't buy it. Buy a second one if you can't make money on the first one. Get your processes right, get your procedures right, get your systems, your automation right on the first one. Then go and buy the next one and watch the curve on the income come in. So I needed to get that out of my mouth. Sorry, just had to.
No, no, and that's perfect. And for anybody listening to this as well, that's why I got into the second business or the business I'm in now because of the processes, the systems that were repeatable, profitable, and were in place for me to make that transition. And
Hmm,
what you said earlier about understanding your strengths and weaknesses, when you have that in place, you can just hire out the other pieces that you don't know. But that key piece is so important.
it is, absolutely. Well, we are definitely going to run out of time. So just on a personal note, what do you think? Is this worthwhile? Shall I keep this video and send it over to you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because this was a bit of bonus. I've never actually recorded one like this and felt the whole thing's a keeper. Ah, you can just use this entire video.
So, what I do is I apply the Gary Vee approach. So, you have this podcast and this hour-long session. You do a post and you say, hey, here's what we learned about A, B, and C, or check out this conversation. Then I take it and I try to do two or three clips.
Yeah.
Then from that, I'll do, let's say, like a long form post. That could be a blog article. It could be something on like a long form post on LinkedIn. You could take it and chop it up into so many different pieces.